All right, USFL action this weekend. Here's what's going on. Fox is running it. They got 8 teams, some familiar names. Jeff Fisher's going to be joining us. He's the coach of the Michigan Panthers. Todd Haley's been on a bunch of times before. He's the Tampa Bay Bandits head coach. Skip Holtz is in the mix there. We got some players you've heard of. Michigan has 2 quarterbacks, Paxton Lynch and Shea Patterson. They got the local kid. Michigan's Shea Patterson. Harry is one of your favorites, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you picked him for Heisman like 3 years in a row or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I backed him when he was playing at Michigan. I even liked him when he played before he went to Michigan, when he played at Mississippi.
I don't know that there's a line out there, but you have to bet him for MVP of this USFL season, right?
Well, absolutely, and by the looks of going up and down the rosters last night, he's probably the best quarterback that's out there.
All right. Well, hold on. There's a lot to go over. But by the way, there's new rules. I think I like a lot of these new rules. First of all, there's a chip in the ball, or there's a chip in the first down marker or something. Must be a chip in the ball where we don't need a 75-year-old Progressive insurance salesman who's a part-time official to run out and eyeball it and put a chain up against it. We're going to have actual nice first down indications, right? Brother Bri, that's how they should do it. What are we waiting for? The tennis is the best. It's going to be that technology, basically.
Yeah, and this is the great thing about the USFL. I mean, it gives us some football action at this time of the year, which is great.
Yep.
And the other thing is, I definitely think the NFL might follow some of their innovations that will help the NFL game as well. So this is a win-win all around for everybody. And like I said, this is great for these young players who can showcase their talents. A lot of these guys just need more reps. They need more practice time, more game time to maybe, take that next step into the NFL. So this is a win-win for everybody. I'm excited about this league.
Yeah, it's good. And I do think these are some, I'm going to go over some of these other rules. This is the NFL's been toying with this. Onside kick, or you could take a 4th and 12 from the 33. That's fun, right?
Yeah, they should do that. They should do that.
How great is that rule? How great is that rule? Fantastic.
You don't like it, Harry? You're grunting. What's the matter with you?
No, I like it. I like that. Am I grunting? I like it.
I didn't know.
Sure,
I
why
couldn't
not?
read your grunt.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I was a backer the last couple of years of the XFL, right? So back in USFL too.
Yeah. All right. And then 2-pointers, you could go for 2-pointers or 3-pointers from the 10-yard line. That's pretty cool too. So traditionally, these lines are going to be off. So if you see 3.5 or 2.5, like, I don't know. You might see more 1-point games, right? With all the discrepancies.
Yeah.
With all the many
Do you
different.
really see? I don't see anybody in this type of league. Would there be a really need to, unless, I mean, obviously it's late in the game, or to kick an extra point? I feel like, I wonder if these guys are going to be more likely to be like, let's go for at least 2. At least 2. I don't know. I just feel like we're going to see a higher percentage of that than we would in, say, the NFL.
I'm trying to think why you'd have a kicker. I mean, I guess you have to kick off, right? But if you're onside kicks are now,
I mean,
right?
the only thing that the kicker is going to be helpful, right? If somebody fails on one of those conversions and it's late in the game and you're down 6, obviously that makes sense. But I agree with you. Early on in games, it's kind of like, why would you kick?
Now listen, we're talking to Coach Fisher in a minute, but I'm taking the Tampa Bay Bandits to win the whole thing at plus 450. I feel like they're a top 2 team after doing my research. Top 2 of 8 getting plus 450. Sign me up. We've had Coach Haley on before. Jordan Teamu at Ole Miss. He threw to DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Dawson Knox, practice squad NFL player. That's their quarterback.
Yep.
In the XFL, he was like the 3rd highest graded passer. I think if there's a USFL fantasy league, he's the quarterback, Harry. I don't know. If you look at this guy, he might be featured.
He can run too, Sal.
He might do gimmick plays and everything. BJ Emmons is their guy at running back. And I think they're doing like 3 wide receiver sets tentatively with Derek Willis and Derek Dillon. Lots of Dereks. They got all the Dereks on this team. So I think, and not to mention, I know he failed in his attempt, Coach Haley. It was laughable at the time, but maybe he does get Antonio Brown by the end of the year. He coached Antonio Brown at Pittsburgh.
I mean, right.
AB told him to screw off when he tried to reach out to get him in a funny way. But there is that. I like the Bandits plus 450. Brian, are you with me or did you change your mind?
No, I like them too. I think there's two teams you can go with, right? I feel like it's Tampa Bay or Michigan in terms of when you look at, coach QB combos, either you go Fisher and Patterson or Lynch, whoever it is, or you can go Haley and Tamu. I do think Tamu is likely, I know Harry's talking about Patterson, he's in love with Patterson, but I think Tamu is likely the best quarterback here. You had said in the XFL, he put up fantastic numbers. Yes. And he was really good his senior year at Ole Miss.
Yes, he was.
And he's been on a couple of different rosters. But yeah, to me, it's funny when you go back through these rosters, how you start realizing some of these, you forget some of these players from 4 or 5 years ago in college, but it's good to see some of them. But yeah, Tampa, I thought Tampa or Michigan, but I'm going to go with Tampa. Sorry, Coach Fisher.
Yeah, well, Harry's making up for it. Coach Fisher, not that Coach Fisher's going to care, but you're taking Michigan.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Michigan. I like, again, the quarterback situation with Shea Patterson and Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch put up. It didn't work out in the pros for him, but still put up big numbers at Memphis. He can run the ball too. Maybe they play both quarterbacks in and out. I just like Michigan. I think they got just the best talent at quarterback.
All right, Parlay Kid, you're back in Harry. So we're split. We're equally split.
Yeah,
here
I think there's three things I'll say about this, and I do like Tampa too, because of the coach quarterback combination. I think Te'amu's the reason why Patterson left Ole Miss and went to Michigan. Te'amu was starting over Patterson there, from what I believe. Seems like in a poll that was taken that I read about, that Michigan the people there seem to be more excited about that franchise than any of the other franchises. So that's good for them. Okay. It seems like all the franchises do have some juice. Seems like, though, that Michigan has the most juice. So just from the sheer fan base, that could help them along. Fisher is a good coach. And I ultimately believe Patterson's the quarterback here. And again, I think what's very valuable in this type of league is a quarterback that's like a dual threat type of quarterback. Patterson can also use his legs in this type of league. Because I don't think quarterbacks are going to be necessarily afraid to use their legs like they might be in the NFL. I think they're going to use them more. So I think Patterson's going to succeed with that. And so they do have a receiver on this Michigan team named Lance Lenore, who was on the Cowboys roster for a few years as a special teams player and was a pretty darn good receiver in the preseason for them. I think he'll be valuable for that franchise too. So let's take Michigan. Harry and I on Michigan. You guys are on Tampa. Let's do it.
It's going to be fun. Let's get to the games. There's one Saturday night, and then the other three are Sunday. Birmingham Stallions are a 3.5-point favorite against the New Jersey Generals. I'm going New Jersey. Coach Mike Riley's coached in 4 leagues. He's got Steve Smith Sr. as his OC. Luis Perez is the quarterback from Texas A&M Commerce. He could sling it, though. In the senior year, he was only one of only 3 players in any NCAA division to throw for 5,000 yards. That was back in 2017. Mike Weber, Harry, Darren, talk about ex-Cowboys. He jumped around, floated around.
Yes, that's right. Running
squad.
back. Yep.
Ohio State running back, 24 touchdowns at Ohio State, up against Skip Holtz. I think the Generals take this one. Harry predictably is taking the total in this game.
I'm going to take the under 42.5. Look, the last 3 times these two teams met, the game. Joking. Sal, you mentioned Luis Perez. I mean, 27 years old. Did play at a small school, Texas A&M Commerce, but before that, he played community college in Chula Vista, California, at Southwestern College. I don't know how many drives he's going to be able to establish here. And plus, the quarterback for the Stallions, Alex McGough, he fractured his collarbone in 2018 and hasn't played since. Meanwhile, defensively, Birmingham has Scooby Wright, who played for the University of Arizona, standout linebacker there, and played for the Cardinals in the pros. And they have cornerback Josh Shaw, who played many years for the Bengals, too. So I'm going to go under 42.5 here, guys.
Jeff Schwartz, our friend Jeff Schwartz, friend of the podcast, he wrote a piece for Fox Sports at foxsports.com. And I think for these early games, this week 1 games, he recommends taking the under in these. I mean, really, like, you're kind of screwed if your quarterback can't figure it out early in these other leagues.
Just saying that when the XFL came back like 2 years ago, Sal, very beginning, they all
scoring, right? Yeah.
Well, this is very, very different. USFL. All right, so New Orleans Breakers 2.5-point favorite. 42.5 is the over under against the Philadelphia Stars. Is that how you say it? Philadelphia. I'm going Philadelphia. Brian Scott was a spring league MVP twice, 2 for 1,000 yards, 10 touchdown passes in a season. He throws to a guy on Philadelphia. The guy's name is Brennan Eagles, and there's an eagle on the Philadelphia Stars. Right. Went to Texas, 60 catches, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. I like this team as a live dog. 2.5 could be the new 3, Brother Bri, as we talked about with the weird extra points and extra 2 points and extra 3 points. So I'm taking the 2.5, which is essentially a field goal game. And I'm taking the Stars. You like New Orleans?
Yeah, I like New Orleans, but you bring up a good point. I do wonder, because you have a 1, 2, 3 option, if these games are going to all end like one or, by
23,
like 1 point,
21s in there.
Somebody going for, I know. But we got to find, like Harry was saying with the unders or something, we have to find some trend and profit off of this early in the season. We really have to make some money. But I'm going to go with New Orleans just because for the most part, I missed Larry Fedora. I actually was wondering where the hell he's been over the last few years. But I was always kind of a fun coach to root for. He'll have this team kind of pumped up, ready to go, I feel like. And at QB, they have Kyle Sloter, who's like, when looking at all the other quarterbacks, and when we talked about Patterson, we talked about Tiamu, Sloter's one of the better ones. He had a couple of different stints with a few different NFL teams over time. Of course, he was on Denver. I feel like every one of these quarterbacks has been on the Broncos at some point in time. Yeah. But yeah, to me, just looking at some of the rosters and stuff like that, New Orleans seemed to have a little bit of a better roster. So I'll take them -2.5.
All right, there you go. All right, now we get to Sunday. I think this is noon Eastern. Michigan Panthers. We'll talk to Coach Fisher about this in a minute. -2.5, 42.5 against the Houston Gamblers. I got to take Michigan. We talked about it. Shea Patterson, Paxton Lynch. Don't know who started. Maybe we can get that info from Coach Fisher. They're throwing to Jeff Bennett. I believe he spent time with the Commanders. Well, they weren't the Commanders back then. But the Vikings, he played at Oklahoma, almost 1,800 yards in college, 10 touchdowns. Houston, one thing to know, they didn't have a top 2 pick in any round until round 14. And the other thing to know is gamblers never win. And they're the Houston Gamblers. Gamblers never win. Why would they start Sunday at noon Eastern? Harry, you're taking Panthers money line. I'm sorry to bring you off the total here, but you're actually taking a side, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I'm still I'm laying the 150. I'm not going to lay any points yet. Let's not get too crazy laying points. I'm going to just have them to win, lay the 150. We talked about the quarterback situation with Michigan, but with Houston, they've got 2 quarterbacks here. Kenji Bahar, who played football at Monmouth. I don't know a lot about him. And Clayton Thorson played at Northwestern. He was a 5th round pick by the Eagles because of his size, but he had knee surgery in 2018 and hasn't played football since. Give me the Panthers.
All right, there you go. And then the last game, Bandits -4.5. So this is the heftiest of all the spreads against the Pittsburgh Maulers. Joel, why should we be excited about the Pittsburgh Maulers? You were talking about this. You wanted us to back the Maulers.
Well, of course. I mean, they have former Giant great Kyle Lauletta, quarterback, which probably means Josh Love is going to get the start. Who from San Jose State was a Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, there you go.
By the way, yeah. They talk about that. So this Kyle Lauletta, they're like, well, he has NFL experience. All right, here's his NFL experience. 0 for 5 with an interception. That's his NFL experience. But I will say this, Spaghetti and I'm not sure about Spaghetti. I suspect, because this is before I met Spaghetti, I definitely know this is the case with Harry, screaming that Kyle Lauletta has to replace Eli Manning, screaming about it.
He did. Lauletta too. First,
didn't Lauletta like a year and a half ago have some major issues like road rage with police too or something?
Yeah, there was something, Spaghetti, and whatever. You still wanted him over Eli.
Yes, true.
What was it, Spaghetti? What's the Kyle Lauletta story?
The traffic violation in Hoboken.
That was it?
Yeah, it was a traffic violation in Hoboken. There's like a lane merger, like when highways, it's like an exit on-ramp, weird scenario. My brother lives not too far from there, and he said that he knows exactly what happened to him, and it happens to a lot of people, and Lauletta ended up getting caught because there was like cops in that spot.
So he tried to change lanes. This guy's not covering 4.5. He's not covering the spread. He even drive a car. We'll go with Todd Haley's team because Kirby Wilson also has not been a head coach, the Maulers guy. I think he's the only one in the USFL who's not been a head coach on any level. I talked Tampa up They're my pick to win the whole thing. So there you go, Jordan Ta'amu. I think it's going to be a dynamic quarterback coach situation, like the Parlay Kid said. So I'll lay the big points here, 4.5. Parlay Kid, you're going with them too.
The coach combination with the quarterback, Ta'amu was very good in the XFL. And so he, out of all these guys, really might have the most playing experience at this higher level, if you will. Okay. Right. And he also has spent time on the practice squad. Was he with the Chiefs? Was that the practice squad he was with? And my feeling is if he was with the Chiefs practice squad, this kid has learned a lot as well, being around the quarterback situation there. Right. I think he's going to be he'll be the one guy coming out firing on all cylinders, I believe. So let's take Tampa Bay -4.5 over the Joel's team, the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Shame on you. Pittsburgh traffic violators. That's what it should be. I don't know. I didn't let this guy back in the league.
Wow.